All right, so here's one of the things that I noticed. I don't know if you've noticed this. I don't know if you out there watching have noticed this, but people go crazy on Facebook.
No, I've never noticed. Never noticed that, not once.
People go crazy. They start posting things, I don't know, they were never taught. Their moms never taught them what to keep to themselves and what to share with the world. It blows my mind. So today, I was thinking about this, just looking through some of my friends, some of what certain people are posting on Facebook, and I thought, I'm going to write out a list of some things to not do on social media and to do on social media, especially when it comes to your relationship, because you can do more damage than good with the things that you put out there. Here's what people I don't think realize. What you put on the internet, on Facebook, on Instagram, on Twitter, I don't care what it is, it's out there. It's like you are posting an article in a newspaper. It's that
Actually
similar.
more. A newspaper has a limited circulation.
That's true. This is findable anywhere, especially, what was it, a decade ago now, that all of the Twitter feed was being logged at the Library of Congress?
I didn't know that.
Yeah, I think that started happening at least 5 or 6 years ago, if not more.
And even if you go back and delete a Facebook post later,
No.
you don't know how many people have copied it.
Oh, yeah. Or they remember.
They either remember it or they've actually copied it and have a copy of it somewhere. Because sometimes if I see one really interesting, I'll actually copy it and take it and keep a copy thinking, I want to remember that. But we're talking about relationships, not just in terms of husbands and wives, but
I mean, it could be any relationship.
Friends.
Friendship, parents, kids.
boyfriend, girlfriend.
Boyfriend, girlfriend, any of it. So, first of all, when I was writing this down, it seems like we like to air our dirty laundry on social media for one of 3 reasons. Number one, consolation. If I can talk about my problem or what I'm going through or whatever, then I can have other people chime in and make me feel better about what's going on.
In other words, I'm looking for a poor baby. Oh,
I'm
you poor
looking
baby.
for a poor baby.
You poor baby.
Another reason is I want approval for what I've done. I want to share that I did something a certain way, and I want people to comment and let me know I did the right thing. So I'm looking for approval.
Even if you did the wrong thing, people are telling you, man, good for you, you did that. And so
Yeah.
you feel better about it, even if you thought, maybe I shouldn't have.
Right.
Okay.
Or we want attention. So I want the engagement. I want the likes. I want attention for what I've done because probably I'm really lonely in my personal life, and that's where I'm going to get this faux engagement, this attention that I'm looking for.
Even if I'm surrounded by people, it could still be, I just want somebody to tell me I'm attaboy, give me a pat on the back.
Right. Right. And if you look at a lot of the news sources that are coming out, articles, maybe even some journal studies saying that even though we are more connected now than we've ever been, people are lonelier now than they have ever been. Because we spend all of our time, I could be sitting right here next to you, but I can easily scroll on my phone and never engage in a real conversation with you.
I actually saw that on the news in the last couple of days, that one poll that, was it 46%? I think that was the number. 46% of people said that they often or always felt lonely. 46%.
So sad.
And there's 2 billion of us on Facebook.
Right, absolutely. So those are some of the reasons we might post the things that we post. But what we typically don't consider with what we post are these 3 things. How is what I'm about to post going to affect, first of all, me? We were talking about in a previous part of this show, which you can find if you're watching this later, you can find it back on the replay. But we were talking about how when we keep ourselves in a negative mindset, that we're a victim, that, oh, poor me, all of those things, if I continue to think that about myself, and that's what I post on social media, whatever one that is, then how is it going to continue to affect me that I continue to post that kind of stuff? I'm going to continue to think negatively. I'm going to continue down that same rabbit hole and never do anything to change. So there's one. We also don't typically consider how it affects the other person that we might be posting about. So for example, if Rob, my husband, and I get into this huge fight, and it's about taking out the trash. And I decide to go to social media and I say, does anyone else have this problem with their husbands where you put the trash right in front of the door and they just seem to step over it? They don't even care. What is it that you're doing? How can you get your spouse to obey? I'd probably get a lot of engagement.
Yeah, probably. Because there are probably a lot of guys who do something like that.
Right. Or there's other wives who are going to chime in and say, oh, I have the exact same thing. You can't trust your husband to do chores. Or there's going to be some that say exactly, like maybe they put it in their husband's car, right on the passenger seat, which is a brilliant idea. I should do that.
No, don't do that.
But it's going to affect, first of all, when people see that, what's their perception of me going to be? What kind of portrayal of a wife am I going to portray in that? How does it show my husband? Is it showing him as lazy? Is it being respectful of him?
We talk about the subject of betrayal. That is a betrayal. Because in a marriage relationship or any close relationship like that, what you want to feel is that that person protects me, puts me in the best light, doesn't say things that make other people ridicule me, judge me, feel badly about me. And so saying something like that about your spouse, your child, your mom, your dad, your brother, sister, boyfriend, girlfriend, when you say something negative about him or her on a Facebook page, it's actually an act of betrayal.
Yeah.
You have betrayed their trust. And for them to look at that and get their feelings hurt, like, you made me look bad in front of all these people. Now, if your response is, well, but you did leave the garbage, right? You stepped right over it. You should have done that. It's no longer the argument. It's no longer about what they did or didn't do. It's about, but I trusted you to have my back and not to embarrass me. Just a quick ad, Facebook, right? But I've seen couples do that in public all my life.
Yeah.
Put each other down and betray each other in public by that same kind of thing. But at least then it was a handful of people. And here, you say, well, I only have 49 Facebook friends, but sometimes they repost and they do all these kinds of things.
Sure.
One of our employees a couple of years ago, well, 4 or 5 years ago now, actually posted a picture, and it was wound up having over 1 million views. It was a picture of a set of keys, and it wound up, he's saying, anybody remember what these keys were for? Wound up with over 1 million people saw that. He said, well, they won't see that if I say that about my husband taking out the garbage. You phrase it just the right way or whatever, it catches somebody's attention.
You go viral, just like that.
There he goes.
Just like that. And not even to consider, how are you affecting other people who then are going to say, oh, well, I should post about my situation and the troubles I'm having with my, it is this huge ripple effect, which also, just like you were saying, can affect your ability to repair a relationship that needs to be repaired.
Absolutely.
In the future. So the trash is one example, but if it's something like where, let's say a husband goes on Facebook and says, my wife has spent all of our money, I don't know what to do, and he starts sharing something that big and that crucial, or my wife had an affair, I'm leaving her, I just want everyone to know this is my public statement of why I'm leaving her and we're getting a divorce. I'm not the fault of this. And then 6 months later, he decides they want to reconcile, but then she finds that post and it's like, you told everyone what I did. You didn't have the right to do that, which he might have.
I'm thinking of a very situation. It was the guy, and she did that, and then she drug him to our workshop a few months later, and he told me day one, I'm not going to participate in your workshop because for the rest of my life, I'll always remember that everybody in my world knows what I did because she wanted to make sure they did by continually posting it on Facebook. We did our best, and our success rate is 3 out of 4 couples. We love the fact that 3 out of 4 couples that come to our workshop wind up saving their marriages, particularly when about 9 out of 10 couples that come to our workshop, one spouse does not want to be in the marriage. When you think about 9 out of the 10 don't want to be married, and at the end, 7 out of 10, 3 out of 4, I should say, 3 out of 4 stay married. That's awesome. But this guy, we never got through because anytime we started making any progress, and we did a few times, and I thought, okay, we're going to be able to help these folks figure that out. Then all of a sudden he'd get hard-faced, and the next break he'd say, but you don't know what she posted about me on Facebook. So I've seen that.
It happens. It absolutely happens. So here's what you shouldn't do. Number 1, throw your spouse under the bus. Just don't do it. Think before you post on social media. Don't throw your spouse, your kids, your parents, your friends. Don't throw them under
Or if your spouse is involved with somebody else, don't throw that person under the bus either, because
That's a big one.
it may do them some damage, but you're the one that's going to pay the biggest price. Because
Absolutely.
people are going to look at you and think, wow,
Right.
is that what he or she is?
Right. Don't use social media as your way to vent. Just don't do it. And number 3, don't use social media as your way to get advice.
You might be thinking, wait a minute, we're watching you guys for
Yeah,
advice right now. And you're on YouTube, isn't
And
that social
some
media?
of you are thinking, but we go to your Facebook for advice too, groups that you're in. Well, here's the caveat of it. Do find friends who are going to support and encourage you. So don't just let anyone out. You shouldn't go into Walmart or Target, take a big thing. What do they call it? Broadcast. What do they call these? Loudspeaker? Megaphone. Take a big megaphone and say, here's all of my dirty laundry, and then let people come to you to give you advice. That's not how you should pick who you hear from. The same goes for social media. Instead, you want to pick the people based on people who are in a good marriage, or people who have good friendships, people who are like people you want to be like. Those are the people you want to surround yourself with and that you want to hear from.
People who actually have good sense in that topic.
Right.
We have some Facebook groups, and we have well-trained moderators, administrators, I guess we call them, admins, in those groups that are just absolutely amazing. Sometimes I'll go and look at one of those groups and see somebody make a comment or ask a question about their relationship, and understand this particular group it's full of people whose marriages are in trouble, and they're trying to figure out how to save the marriages. And then I'll see how our admins respond, and it's just spot on. And then there'll be 42 other people in the group. And I'm looking at that going, oh, I hope you never read what that person just said. I know he or she means well. I know they mean well.
Right.
But if you follow that line of thinking, you might as well just end your marriage now, because that is destructive. And sometimes we'll actually say that. I'll actually post into there, please don't do this when this is destructive. And it's not because the people are trying to destroy you or hurt you. They're saying what they think. They just don't understand how to deal with those problems, and often their advice is very bad.
Right. So find friends and talk to people offline, real people in real life when you can. Surround yourself with real community. And before you post, ask yourself, what value will this post bring to me and or others before you post it? Because
And if you decide to talk to people offline, which we think you do need that kind of support system,
absolutely.
be careful about listening to them as well. If they love you a lot and they don't like what's happening because of the way somebody else is treating you, their advice is not going to be it's not going to be wise. It's not going to be balanced. It's going to be all about protecting you. And sometimes they can advise you to do some things that you really just ought not do. And it's not because they're bad people. It's just because either they don't know how to do it, or they love you so much they're prejudiced toward you. So understand betrayal comes in lots of ways, but basically what it boils down to is this. I trust you. I expect you to have my back. I expect you to be on my side. I don't worry about you hurting me, because the relationship we have together, I anticipate you being there for me. And betrayal is anything that violates that. And so, as Kimberly Will says, some of them are minor betrayals, even though they'll still hurt like all get out, but they're relatively minor. And then some of these major betrayals, but what we have discovered in working with marriages, for example, in trouble for, well more than 20 years now, more like 25 years we've been working with marriages and problems, not Kimberly, she's not as old as I, but in the 25 years I've worked with marriages, we have seen that even the most terrible of betrayals, if both do what they should be doing, the relationship can be reconciled and made good again. It can happen, even though there's hurt, anger, all kinds of things in between.